Hey, g'day, it's Brett Thomson here from Carbrook Golf Club. It's been a little while, but I'm just going to bring you a little bit of an update what's been going on the last few months around the golf course. So obviously it's July now, so as you would have known, we've had a fair bit of rain that's been sort of around for the last few months, so it's been a little bit hard for us to get the course back to where we want it to get. Like when it's wet, we sort of couldn't do all our jobs that we'd really like to get out and do. Like, it's just slowed us down. But probably in the last few weeks it's sort of dried out a bit, and we're starting to get on top of things now. You probably would have noticed, we've done a lot of spraying around the course with all the trees and that, and we've also started to get back into the gardens, trying to put mulch into them and replant a few plants there just to try and make it look a little bit more attractive around the place. Plus you would have seen the fairways and that, they're starting to get a little bit of run, but obviously last week we just had another 60 mil, so that's just slowed a bit down. But I think for the next hopefully 3 weeks, fingers crossed, we can get some dry weather and we get a little bit more run out of everything. That pretty much goes the same for the green speed as well. I'd probably say you would have noticed they've got a little bit faster in the last month. They've been gradually building up. So we call it, when we measure it, a stimp, and that's the speed of the green, how fast it rolls to how far it goes, and that's sort of running up around about, say, or it was near 11 almost. So normally in sort of summer times we'd probably run it at about 9. So this gives you a show there's probably a 2 foot difference in winter compared to the summertime. So, and then we get a little bit of rain, you'll notice it'll slow back down to probably a little bit under 10 again, which is normal. But as it dries out, we get a bit of sun and we get a bit more wind, it'll speed up. So there's a few things there, just, will keep you thinking. Like when you go out the putt, you'll notice the difference every sort of week, but once we get consistent weather, the greens will speed up and we'll be back to where we want them to be, up around about 10.5 sort of to 11. So also probably a couple other things I'd like to mention, you probably noticed we got the 2 bunkers out on 10 and 11 back in the play. We've had a lot of trouble just getting sand from the sand plant. Not sure, I think I've mentioned it before, that it's been underwater and some of their parts were on the machine was broken down, so we finally got them back. So we put the sand in 10 and then we had to redo all the drainage in 11, dig it all out and put some new gravel in and some aggie pipe and then fresh sand in there. I know everyone's happy about that, you love going in those bunkers, so more than happy to oblige to give you that. You can thank me later when you see me out on the course. So there's also a lot of other stuff, and when we do you probably can't see it, but over here on 15th tee, we've still got all that debris up on the left-hand side up there. We're aware of that. We're trying to do as much as we can, just pick up little bits and bigger bits, but we need to get a machine in there to little excavator to dig that back and put it on the truck, because it's just too slippery and still wet in there, and we can't get it with the bobcat or anything like that. So hopefully in the next month or so we can try and get around to that as well. And there's a little bit out on 10 where that sand is, that's around the little pond out there, so we also need the excavator or the posi track guy to come in and clean all that up for us. So we know those jobs need to be done, and we're still sort of hopeful of getting all that done before the end of winter, coming into spring. And there's probably also, you probably notice, when it rains, there's a little bit of mud and scarring around the course. That's from the silt and that, and just being under water for that amount of time, it's always going to be a little bit wet and it hasn't dried out as much. So if you see that, just remember we're in the middle of winter, it's not going to recover as much. So they'll probably have that 1 card length local rules there for the whole of winter, just because it's not getting any recovery. So once spring comes around and we get a bit more growth, a bit better sun out there, all these areas will start to clean up and get a little bit better. So also we've got a little bit of disease on a couple of greens. Probably 18's the worst green, I'd say. From the flood, it was probably just too wet. We got too much moisture in there, but it sort of blends in pretty good now. The disease has sort of stopped growing and it's dormant, but you'll see a little bit of scarring there. It might sink a little bit, but it won't affect the ball rolling at this stage. It's still pretty good surface to putt on, and it's the same with all the other greens. So if you haven't been out there, get out there, start playing. It's it's the best time of year to do it, and yeah, good luck for the Classic. Hope someone big wins. Thank you. See you next month.
Pumping on.
Come on. Maybe because I got heaps of clothing on because it's cold.
You look like you've been working out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Trying to get a reaction.